whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today, but if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on do our live stream. You also have access to premium content. Those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., the destruction of due process in America. For approximately 2 years now, I've gone on a painstaking quest to investigate the rise and fall of an American icon, Bill Cosby. In the mid-1980s, there was not a star that was higher than Cosby. Advertisements with Coca-Cola, Jello, Kodak, along with the #1 television show for 5 straight years in a row. On Thursday nights, it was must-see TV on NBC. The genre of the traditional family sitcom that was once thought dead by television critics. He did this as a Black American with an all-Black cast and showed mainstream network executives and white Americans possible to be successful without showing the worst in people. He also demonstrated the power that television had, as it can make younger people dream to be the best that they can be. However, like many celebrity stars, unfortunately, they all come crashing down, sometimes by their own fault, others not so much. In this book, I attempted to highlight certain things. We go in depth into both of his trials in 2017 and 2000. What if I told you that these criminal trials were politically motivated by an overzealous district attorney? Will you also be shocked to learn the attacks on Mr. Cosby did not start in 2014, but also in the 90s, not long after his attempted quest to purchase a major network? From where did all of these allegations of sexual misconduct come from? Were the accusers telling the truth? In the 2 years of research, with some help from others interested in learning the truth and facts about this case, we discussed both the legal reasons why his prosecution and trial were illegal, unwarranted, and also the possible personal motives as to why this may have occurred. Most importantly, we warn about the dangers of prejudice and why trial by social media, or mainstream media rather, should never be the norm. All this and more, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. Available on Amazon this fall in Kindle and paperback format.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the trailer, previous trailer from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in the United States. That'll be available for pre-order on this Saturday, June 11th. Ladies and gentlemen, the place to be is right here with me. It is GBoot2786. Our Random Topic Thursdays, the hottest live stream on YouTube right now. Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe, ladies and gentlemen. We will discuss the following: Senate hearings on January 6th and gun control commence. House passes the Protecting Our Kids Act. Monique versus DL Hughley. DL Hughley's daughter gets dragged into it. And some breaking news also out in Michigan. Christopher Shore charged with second-degree murder of Patrick Leola. All this and more, ladies and gentlemen, and joining us will be uh, our brother, Shawn James. Thank you all for the well wishes. I've been under the weather, very sick, still recovering, not 100%, but I wanted to come on here and still chat with y'all because if I didn't, I was going to lose my mind at this moment. But it couldn't be a random topic Thursday without a little music. So without further ado, of course, you all know those in the chat, my mods. Shout out to Danielle. Shout out to Derek. I don't know if he's here yet, but Black Voltron, I'm sure, will be coming on soon. But as you know, we have our seasoning blends. You can already pick that up. Naughty's Creole blends.com. Please order some online. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Naughty's goes great with every dish. Shawn has some. You should too. Also, if you have not, go to our YouTube channel. I should rather say my Facebook channel. Subscribe to at Commonwealth Cause as well for updates on the book. Like I said, June 11th is available for pre-order. But on our Spotify, Amazon, and Apple channel, we have Video Soul, which is one of my singles that I still have, and of course, Gotta Get On Up. So, as we're going to get on down, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to go ahead and get on up. So, without further ado, I will play the tunes. Okay, there is a little further ado. But now, without further ado,
show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop. I'll do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're going to slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up, baby. Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up, baby. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Feel the groove, get on the floor, ladies and gentlemen. Time to get on up. I'm sitting here relaxing comfortably in my cubicle of a room at my house here in New Orleans East, but I'm doing fine. Recovering much better than I was, but still getting there. So I'm doing much better. But I wanted to have this dream. I felt I was healthy enough to do this. So welcome everyone to another edition of Random Topic Thursdays, the hottest live stream on YouTube again. And we are joined by the author of The Man Crisis, my friend and colleague, Brother Shawn, fellow YouTuber, Brother Shawn James, author of 75 books. He also has ownership of the SJS Direct Initiative, which publishes all of his books, and you can buy those on Amazon.com. And one of the latest books that he has coming out soon will be the Woman Crisis that he's working on. He has the Man Crisis, but he has the Woman Crisis that's coming out, I believe, later in the fall of this year, or is it next year?
It's this year.
It's later this fall. That's right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome our brother Shawn James. Shawn, if you want to plug in something, go ahead. And how you doing tonight?
I'm good. Well, my upcoming comic Kickstarter, John Haynes at Death Store, will be available on sale on Kickstarter on June 22nd. So if you guys want to put in a pledge for the first full SJS Direct comic, you can do so by heading over to Kickstarter on June 22nd. And if you want to find out when that Kickstarter is coming out, you can click the link that I'm going to put into the chat for the John Haynes at Death Store Kickstarter, and you'll be able to pick up and find out when this Kickstarter launches once you sign up for the mailing list. We currently have 41 who have signed up for the mailing list, and I want to try to get this up to maybe 50 before the launch.
All right. What's up, computer robots? You asked if my voice has changed a little bit. Not exactly. I actually, well, like I said, I have been under the weather, as you all know, since last week, since my vacation time. And sometimes when I'm there traveling, doesn't work that good. And, I just was real sick. So, yeah, you could say I caught something, but I'm doing much better. So, coughing up a lot of stuff. So, but I'm doing good. So yeah, a shout out to Shawn. That's why I kind of didn't want to come on screen. I was gonna do the because I'm just casually lounging right now, and I would like to look a little more professional if I could. But being that I don't want you all seeing me all crusty and dried up, like I kissed Cicely Tyson. God rest her soul. I was rolling in dough, my whole face in pizza dough or something like that. No, I didn't want to do that. So, yeah. Speaking of which, because computer robots, you're up in Canada, and one of the comments I'm going to be talking about gun control a little bit, but up in Canada, they got it going on real bad because Justin Trudeau, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but Justin Trudeau is talking about freezing handgun ownership. I don't know if you saw that, Sean.
I
We're
saw
not
it.
talking about banning. They already banned AR-15s. Right. Well, they've already banned AR-15s and AK-47s and guns that can hold 30 rounds, but now you're talking about freezing gun ownership, period. Uh, gun ownership, period, which is a dangerous thing. Um, any way you want to cut it. When a president or a prime minister gets on national TV and can actually say you're not going to get, we can't even have private gun ownership, that's a problem. Now, in Canada, they don't have the protections like we do because we have it in our Constitution. And the founding fathers, say what you want to say about them, but I think they were wise men when they were drafting that Constitution. They realized after fighting a major war, there may be a time when the people may need more guns or to have some guns in case they get another dictator. So computer robots is says he's a beta male. He just wants to be just like his father so bad. But that is what my fellow Canadians get for voting for him. Well, the Canadians are subject, yeah. Canadians are still subject to, I believe, England. You're still a subject to the Queen, where you're not citizens like we are in the United States. So I'm gonna get started talking about it. But you want to add something on that, Sean, right quick?
Well, right quick, yeah, I think your Justin Trudeau is knee jerking in order to virtue signal, and it would be ridiculous for him to what he is going to ban handguns because that's going to make people hold on to their weapons even more, and it's going to lead to more and more fighting because it's not the guns that are the problem here in Canada. The problem was that you have him knee jerking to what he hears about these beta males, and he really does not really understand the whole issue with this, with all of these mass shootings and this violence. And I've talked about this in depth in my book, The Man Crisis. And this is a family issue, but he wants to make it into a gun issue. And he thinks if he takes the guns away, it'll stop. But I can go to several cases in Canada, like the incel who took out a van and deliberately took a van to murder people, and a couple of other incidents where there was no gun involved. And again, when you have beta males, they don't need a gun. They can go out here and get anything and use it as a weapon to participate in your violence.
Yeah. No, you can do like what they do in the Middle East and strap a bomb on you
Yeah.
and kill multiple people. So we care about do we care about loss of life, or we just care about loss of life by firearms? See, and that's the knee jerk reaction that we have. But I want to show you this is the type of stuff we're fighting in America. Now, this is the Washington Post. Look at the title of this. All right, you can't see it right now, but I'm just saying it. Now, never mind the ad form right there, but the opinion: Trudeau's sweeping gun control bill is no knee jerk reaction by David Moscrop. It says gun violence in the United States is beyond catastrophic, according to the Pew Research Center. Let's say 45,222 people died in gun-related injuries in the United States, and the violence is not abating. Recent high-profile massacres in Buffalo and Uvalde, Texas, have focused national and international attention on the issue once more. But Congress is unwilling to root out the problem. He says in Canada, it's a different story. He talks about Justin Trudeau's Liberal government announced firearm control legislation. Bill C-21 includes a suite of measures to regulate and limit guns in the country. Central to their plan is a freeze on buying, selling, or transferring handguns. On top of that, the current assault rifle ban and prohibition on owning assault-style weapons proposed changes would limit magazine capacity, remove gun licenses from domestic abusers, ban the sale of certain toy guns that look like the real thing, So you're talking about BB guns and pellet guns, and create red and yellow flag laws to remove firearms from those who might be at risk to themselves or others. Well, who determines that? But this is the Washington Post. This is the Washington Post that puts this up, and they want to create facile arguments. They put up, for instance, minuscule data. He says, after a gradual decrease from 2009 20 and 2013, the rate of firearm-related homicides has increased since 2013, with a single decline in 2018. The group also notes that firearm-related violent crimes account for just 2.8% of all victims of violent crimes reported by police in 2020. 277 victims of homicide were killed with firearms or firearm-like weapons. Well, what's a firearm-like weapon? You say far more gun deaths in the country come. Now look at this. Far more gun deaths in the country come from suicide. So, do you care more about loss of life by firearms, or is it just you don't want people to own, or is it do you care about life in general, or maybe it is that you just don't want people with firearms? But this is someone who keeps talking about Canada. This is the Washington Post. We are not subject to the laws of the of the Canadian government. And also, one thing they do not mention when you read these articles, I'm just noticing what was the increase in the crime rate. Because when Australia had their broad ban back in 1996, you talk about stopping mass shootings. Yeah, they have curtailed mass shootings, but guess what? You also had an increase in upkeep in burglaries and robberies. People going into people's homes because they knew the people were not armed. And there's no guarantee, number one, that you are actually going to stop someone from killing someone. But you had something else you want to add from this article that you saw, Sean, just from hearing it?
Yeah, well, when I read this article, it comes from the Washington Post, one of these far left newspapers, and the guys at the Washington Post really don't know what they're talking about as related to controlling guns. Now, they come from a far left perspective, which gives us this idealized view of things, and that idealized view of things makes us think, oh, if we stop the guns, we'll stop the mass shooting, but you're not going to stop beta males. The thing is, they don't understand how violent a beta male can be. And a violent beta male is actually more dangerous when he doesn't have his firearms, because what he'll do is, again, like Tim McVeigh and Terry Nichols, they'll start creating bombs. These guys will use cars as weapons. These guys will use planes as weapons. You have to know what you're dealing with this beta male. So this whole knee-jerk reaction that Justin Trudeau has is never going to work, because you're going to make this beta male even more violent and more destructive, because as he improvises, he's going to create weapons of more destruction than he would with a firearm. And again, stopping firearms does not stop beta males, because the only way we're going to stop a beta male is by really confronting the problems we created with the American family in the 1960s, and realizing that the approaches to our so-called New Age family have made a dysfunctional and violent male in the 21st century. And I find it interesting that in all of this discussion, they go and talk about guns, but we never talk about fathers in the home, and we never talk about the family. I mean, I was sitting there listening to them in Washington talk about these mass shootings, and they brought all the victims up, but I never heard one person talking about fathers. I never heard a person talking about how these boys, all of them who were mass shooters, really didn't have their fathers in their lives. And we don't really talk about how a lot of these men are wandering around aimlessly without purpose or direction. We just talk about the guns, and the guns aren't as I see it, the issue. We need to find out what motivates these males and try to deal with that with the family, because the American family has been in shambles. And that's the main reason why we have all this violence, is because the family is a complete mess. But nobody wants to touch the family, because it, one, points a finger at American women, who are the largest bloc of voters, and two, it points a finger at all of the leftists, like those at the Washington Post, because It was their policies that removed the father from the home, derailed the American family, and created this bumper crop of beta males who are participating in all this violence because they originally said these were going to be the new, kinder, gentler, softer males. Unfortunately, they are becoming some of the most violent males in all of history, and it's all due to their policies, which disrupted the family. And I find it sad that nobody will ever talk about this family.
Right, and they trot this out, so I'm going to switch topics, but it involves the same stuff since we just went off the top of our heads and started talking. If you look here, I'm going to play a video they had on Tuesday. Matthew McConaughey, who goes to the White House talking about gun control. You also have the Senate hearings you mentioned. I hadn't really followed it per se because I knew it was going to be some bullshit, in truthfulness, and that may sound harsh, but the world is harsh. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of these people, these senators, these congressmen, they think they're doing something when they're really not. For instance, they passed this Protecting Our Kids Act. And shout out to Judge Joe because he read it and was talking about it. I saw a show with Dana just a while ago, and it's a big nothing burger. It has to get to the Senate, and there'll be a filibuster on it. And it really does nothing. There are over 20,000 gun laws are better in the United States. And yet we still have the same problems. But they trot out celebrities like Matthew McConaughey out here. And I'm not going to say that there's nothing legitimate about him, that he feels sorry for what happened out there, because this was his hometown of Texas. But this is the MO that happens when there's ever a national tragedy like this, where there involves children. They'll get celebrities out here to try and make pleas for everyone else to get rid of their rights or take action. And the problem with that is that if you have a celebrity like a Matthew McConaughey or a John Voight or a LeBron James, whoever, you forget those people have money. They have bodyguards that can protect them. The average person does not have that.
Good afternoon, everyone.
How can these families continue to honor these deaths by keeping the dreams of these children and teachers alive? Again, how can the loss of these lives matter? So while we honor and acknowledge the victims, we need to recognize that this time it seems that something is different. There is a sense that perhaps there's a viable path forward. Responsible parties in this debate seem to at least be about a new and improved path forward. A path that can bring us closer together and make us safer as a country. A path that can actually get something done this time. So, we know it's on the table. We need to invest in mental health care. We need safer schools. We need to restrain sensationalized media coverage. We need to restore our family values. We need to restore our American values. And we need responsible gun ownership. Responsible gun ownership. We need background checks. We need to raise the minimum age to purchase an AR-15 rifle to 21. We need a waiting period for those rifles. It's for those who abuse them. These are reasonable, practical, tactical regulations to our nation, states, communities, schools, and homes. Responsible gun owners are fed up with the Second Amendment being abused and hijacked by some deranged individuals. These regulations are not a step back. They're a step forward for a civil society and the Second Amendment.
I want to play some more stuff from Congress. as they passed the Protection Act, protecting our kids act.
Tonight, the U.S. House responded to the outcry over the constantly growing number of mass shootings in America. The Democrat majority passed the Protecting Our Kids Act, a sweeping package of gun control bills. The measures would raise the age to buy certain rifles from 18 to 21. Also take aim at gun trafficking, untraceable firearms, safe storage, bump stocks, and large capacity magazines. 7 Action News reporter Brett Cass has the Michigan link to the legislation and where the debate goes.
The yeas are 223. The nays are 204. The bill is passed.
In mostly partisan fashion, Congress passed a package of bills focused on gun control. One of the provisions, a direct response to the tragic shooting at Oxford High School.
Having been born out of a school shooting, we support many of the components of the Protect Our Kids Act.
Dylan Morris is an Oxford High School student, now executive director of No Future Without Today, a newly formed nonprofit founded by Oxford students advocating for what they call sensible gun reform.
And it's all about finding these solutions to prevent these tragedies that we saw in Oxford, Parkland, and Uvalde from happening again.
And do you feel like right now it just feels different in Washington?
I do. I think it feels different in Washington, but I'll be honest, it feels different in Michigan too.
Congresswoman Alyssa in the package in light of the Oxford tragedy. Her bill would require the safe storage of guns and imposes a 5-year prison sentence if a child uses an unsecured gun to commit a crime.
This isn't about whether someone gets to own a gun or not. It's about responsible gun ownership.
While the act passed the House, it was mainly on partisan lines, with just 5 Republicans voting in favor.
At the end of the day, we have a Constitution, and it's the Second Amendment.
Representative Lisa McClain, also from Michigan, voted no on the package, arguing instead to harden school security and focus on mental health.
We need to address the person. The person is the problem.
The package now faces an uphill battle in the Senate, where a small group of bipartisan legislators are negotiating, but it's unclear how much, if any, gun reform would make it through.
Is there any, compromise that could be made specifically on gun reform?
The guns aren't the problem. The people behind the guns are the problem.
Compromise is the way we move the needle. And sometimes neither side wants to hear it, but that is what is needed right now.
No Future Without Today is hosting a rally this Saturday at 9:30 a.m. for gun reform, marching from downtown Oxford to Oxford High School. I'm Brett Cass, 7 Action News.
Now I'm going to go over the bill in a second, but I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to shame or shoot anybody that's speaking, because no, they went through and saw an unspeakable tragedy, but they will get people out to testify to this. Here's the thing, and you have to remember this, like you're going to see the father who lost a child and so forth. I sympathize with them, but you got to remember something too. You're going to Congress to ask for help by being impacted at something that happened in your community. The point being is that there are different checks and balances that we go through, different branches of government, different levels of government, state, local, and federal. You're impacted more by your local government and your state government than you are the feds. But let's look at this.
Today in a
now notice she has, I don't know if you can see that chart, but you see that I'm pretty sure that's like a source of gun debts. And she's got them. I can't be sure, but I'm 100% confident. I'm willing to bet the farm it's about gun debts. Shawn, are you clicking something?
No.
I'm hearing some clicking. Okay.
on gun violence, words of despair from those whose lives were forever changed by the deadly mass shootings in Uvalde and Buffalo.
Today, I come because I could have lost my baby girl.
Miguel Cirillo, the father of Mia Cirillo, the 11-year-old fourth grader who survived the attack at Robb Elementary that killed 19 of her schoolmates and 2 beloved teachers. Mia only survived by covering herself in her classmates' blood and playing dead.
I thought he was gonna come back to the room.
Can y'all hear? I can't hear them. I don't know what happened.
And put it all over me.
Meanwhile, Republican witness Lucretia Hughes of the D.C. Project Women for Gun Rights testifying that more laws will not make a difference in reducing gun violence.
20 more laws. 1,000
I don't know
more.
why they.
Won't make what has already illegal
Oh, I'm sorry.
more wrong or stop.
Today, in a congressional hearing on gun violence, words of despair from those whose lives were forever changed by the deadly mass shootings in Uvalde and Buffalo.
I come today because I could have lost my baby girl.
Miguel Cirillo, the father of Mia Cirillo, the 11-year-old fourth grader who survived the attack at Robb Elementary that killed 19 of her schoolmates and 2 beloved teachers. Mia only survived by covering herself in her classmates' blood and playing dead.
I thought he was gonna come back to the room, so I got blue blood and put it all over me.
Meanwhile, Republican witness Lucretia Hughes of the D.C. Project Women for Gun Rights testifying that more laws will not make a difference in reducing gun violence.
20 more laws. 1,000 more. Won't make what has already illegal more wrong or stop criminals from
Also
committing these
testifying,
crimes.
Dr. Lori Guerrero, Texas's only pediatrician, describing a horrific scene at the hospital you could have never
What I did find was something no prayer will ever relieve. Two children whose bodies have been pulverized by bullets fired at them, decapitated, whose flesh had been ripped apart.
Today, House Democrats bringing the Protect Our Kids Act to the floor for a vote. The gun control package, assembled after the recent mass shootings, includes several actions President Biden favors, but is expected to fail in the Senate. A group of bipartisan senators is closing in on a framework, but it will likely be far more limited than the gun control reforms polling shows Americans want.
The Department of Justice has announced a team of experts will lead an independent investigation into the law enforcement's response to the mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Attorney General Merrick Garland has stressed that this is not a criminal investigation. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Capitol.
Now, we got that coupled with the Senate right now, the January 6th hearings that's taking place right now. It's 8:43 here. It's 9:43 out in Washington, D.C. I'm surprised that they actually, I didn't even know that they were going to have a hearing, and yet alone they do it this late. To do it this late in the evening, Shawn, but they are having that go on right now as we speak. And they're talking about what happened, of course, last year, January 6th. I saw Representative Thompson. You can see here they're interviewing one of the Capitol Police officers who are testifying.
At us. It just seems like more and more people started coming onto the West Front. They started overpowering us. And that was right about when MPD's officers showed up. Their bike officers pushed the crowd back and allowed our CDU units as well as theirs to form that line that you see, that very thin line between us and the protesters or the rioters. At that time, I fell behind that line for a while. And I started decontaminating people who had gotten sprayed and treating people medically who needed it.
And then you were injured again there on the West Terrace. Is that right, Officer Edwards?
Yes, ma'am. So after a while.
All right. I'm not going to play too much of it. Okay, Shawn. Let's take it. back to this Protecting Our Kids Act and the Senate hearings on the Uvalde shooting. What do you think of them?
Well, I just think it's a bunch of hot air. It's just something meant for the leftists to virtue signal to the public like they're doing something when they're actually doing nothing. It's just a lot of talk that's going to lead to absolutely no action, and it's going to make it look like they are doing something when they actually have never planned to do anything at all, because they're sitting there, they're talking about all these little insignificant things like raising the age of gun ownership from 18 to 21, red flag laws, background checks. All of this stuff didn't work with the current crop of mass shooters, because the current crop of mass shooters had no mental health background, and some of them, they would have just waited until they were 21, because if you don't understand the psychology of the beta male, you're not going to understand that these guys can hold grudges for years. I mean, these guys sit here and they will plan their murders for years. So you changing the age from 18 to 21 just gives them more time to plan their violence with malice, of forethought. So all of their so-called plans to legislate this away is not going to work. The problems, again, are the ones that these politicians refuse to confront, and that has to do with the family they destroyed in the 1960s with their Great Society program. And again, they won't address that family because they know if they have to address that family, they're going to have to confront that large female voting bloc that they need to get elected. And holding that woman accountable for the way she is raising boys is something that would upset most of America's women, because they don't want to be told how to parent. But it's clear that the way that they're parenting has created this beta male monster that is basically wreaking havoc all across the country. And to confront the other part of it means confronting many of the policies that the left created during the Great Society of the 1960s, and confronting that whole political party's whole policies and doctrine that have been part of their agenda for the last 60 years. So that's two things they don't want to confront, and that's why they'll sit there and come out here with these empty gestures talking about guns. But the problem, again, is not the guns and all of this stuff about, oh, we want to pass this Safe Kids Act. If you wanted to make kids safe, you would be talking about where's the father in many of these situations. Because when I look at this whole Uvalde situation, I have not heard one statement about that Salvador Ramos's father. Where is Salvador Ramos's father? That question has never been asked. And in the case of the top shooter, we don't talk that much about his father or any of these mass shooters. But when I do my research, 90% of these mass shooters all had no father in the home, or they came from a household with a divorce, and again, minimal interaction with the father. So we don't want to talk about fathers. We don't want to talk about the family. We want to pass empty legislation that will do absolutely nothing at the end of the day. Because if you understand the psychology of this beta male, you understand that he will use anything as a weapon, because this beta male is filled with rage. And this beta male all across this country, I mean, he will go from using guns to going to use knives to, again, as I stated before earlier in the show, to going out and creating all sorts of things like Tim McVeigh and your Terry Nichols did in Oklahoma City in 1995. And I've even read one incident where one of these beta males took a plane up in the sky and basically flew it into his wife's house because he was so angry at her. So these men will weaponize anything, and no legislation is going to stop them. And if people found out the truth about this beta male, it would practically make them realize that no legislation would stop them, because we have over 100 million of these men out here. These men are landmines all across the country, and you can't legislate a way to get away from these beta males, because you bred 2 to 3 generations of these men with faulty thinking, faulty mental framework, faulty structures in their lives. They don't know how to be men. They don't know how to function as men. And that would practically disturb most people if they realize that this is not just isolated incidents of 1 or 2 individuals. we've got 100 million of these guys, and it's not a matter of if they're going to go off, it's a matter of when. And if Americans really understood the gravity of the situation, they would realize that a gun control law isn't going to be the thing that stops a beta male. No, we need a completely different approach, which invests in these men, which is what we didn't do for the last 60 years.
Mm-hmm. And with regards to the, well, yeah, what you said about Salvador Ramos, they have not mentioned anything about his father or his relationship. They always, I saw that interview they did, and I talked about this on my show a while back. I think we saw the grandfather speak and so forth, but we've heard nothing about his father. All I hear, especially when these shootings happen, I think too, we keep making excuses, and I say we as a society, for evil. When things happen and people actually do things that they should know better than what they are doing, we don't address that, and we want to blame and put the punishment on the wrong people, which is law-abiding citizens, and not on the person that actually did this. Like, we're talking about gun control, banning AR-15, saying taking away the amount of ammunition you should have, and meanwhile, the person who did it, he gets taken safely away, like what happened with Peyton Genderson. It was a black man who actually stopped him.
Yeah,
you can't legislate evil. Although the black man didn't succeed because the guy was armored up, but just imagine if they had more people in there who had firearms that could have gotten to him. And I'm not blaming anyone but we gotta look at this. The enemy, which is Peyton Genderson, has been scoping this neighborhood out apparently the day before, and allegedly he chose this neighborhood because he knew those people were not going to be able to defend themselves. And you have Joe Biden. Did you see the video of him saying how 9mm can blow out your lung?
No, I didn't.
Let me play that. But I'll play that, and then I want to get your response on what's going on with the Senate hearings now. But hold on, I'm going to play that for you right now.
I've been pretty motivated all along. The folks who were victimized, their families, they spent 3 hours and 40 minutes with them. They waited all that time, and some came 2 hours early. And the pain is palpable, and I think a lot of it's unnecessary. So I'm going to continue to push, and we'll see how this works. Because I've not been negotiating with any of the Republicans yet. And I deliberately did not engage in a debate about that with any Republican. When we're down, controlling family protection. Controlling family protection. I don't know how far it goes. I know that it makes no sense.
I'll be right back in a second.
Be able to purchase something fire up the around. I know it makes, and I know what happened when we had rational action before, back in Congress, with the law that it did significantly cut down mass murder. The Constitution, the Second Amendment, was never absolute. You couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed. You couldn't go out and purchase a lot of weapons. And those who, not many of them were saying that, the tree of liberty is water with the blood of patriots, and what we have to do is take on the government when they're wrong. Well, to do that, you need an F-15, you need a Abrams tank. So it's just, I think the God so bad that everybody's getting more rational. I think that's my hope. I know this. For the Constitution, I can anticipate this stuff. I can do
You heard him. He said there's a constitution. I can't dictate this stuff, but yet he's willing to violate the constitutional rights of Americans by trying to take away their guns. And let me say this, he just did it.
He needs to be challenged.
He said you couldn't buy a cannon. Why would you need a, let's go back. You heard it, the 9mm. 9mm blows your lung out compared to a 22. An AR-15 shoots a 22 caliber bullet. We're talking about caliber. A 9mm is the most popular caliber in the United States. That's why during the pandemic, there were so few of them on the shelves. If you went to a sporting goods store, if you went to Academy, if you went to Walmart, although Walmart has been scaling back on guns and so forth. If you went to even your local gun shop, your gun range, they were so expensive to purchase because nobody was buying. The COVID pandemic had put everything had raised everything up. The cost of living went up, Cabela's, everything. You couldn't find them. I had to buy stuff online. You had to buy them in bulk. But you heard it. I had talked about. I do remember showing this video last time, Shawn. But you heard him say it.
Yeah.
The things are done, and then executive action I can take.
So he doesn't want AR-15s, but he said it's okay. You see, it shows he doesn't know a damn thing what he's talking about, because you say in one breath you don't want AR-15s, but you're okay with it seems like with a 22. An AR-15 is a 22.
Change the background check. I can do that. And my whole career I've been doing it. It's crazy now. But there's a few things happening. I think there's a realization on the part of rational Republicans, and I consider them a common rational Republican. Recognition in their part. I think there's a recognition in their part that the nation can't do this. You can't do this.
Sounds like he's contradicting himself.
He's an idiot.
Yeah. I mean,
he's a fool. He doesn't know. But that's how most of these politicians are, Shawn. They don't go. Joe Biden doesn't go to a gun range.
No.
Neither does Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi. I can tell you, all of those people, you've seen, even testifying, they don't go. Maybe except the black woman, they don't go to gun range. And look, they're in Washington D.C., which has one of the toughest gun laws in the nation. They have one of the hardest gun laws in the nation, along with New York and Chicago, yet they have the highest crime and murder rates.
It shows us that their policies aren't working.
And they enjoy protection. If you've ever been into the halls of Congress, Shawn, the protection there is real great.
Yeah.
I've been in it. Well, they're talking about protection now because they weren't safe on January 6th. But, go ahead and say, well, yeah, but this is ridiculous.
Well, I have to say it really is ridiculous. And it just, again, it's more theater, more show, not really going to be effective at doing anything because, again, AR-15 just seems like to be the, like in the 80s with like the assault rifles, like the AK-47. It's a popular thing. It's not really going to have any impact because I read that there was another rifle that fires even more bullets and uses the same type of ammunition. So you're not really doing anything. It's just playing music chairs to make the public think that they're doing something, but they don't really want to confront the real issues, which, again, are the family. So they want to just keep playing these musical chairs with these guns and banning guns and thinking that they're doing something, but it's doing nothing at all. Because one, criminals don't follow the law, and two, we've done this law thing back in the 90s with the assault weapons ban of the 90s, and that did nothing because we saw violence in the country increase, the mass shootings increase, so it did absolutely nothing at the end of the day.
Do you think, now, what do you think, though? I want to get back to this, and you look at the comments, the people that are responding, obviously the likes to dislikes in that video, there's gotten over 20,000 views from the Associated Press, but if you look at the like to dislike, there's over 2,200 people who disliked it versus 142. One,
Yeah. No one is with this
one
because they know
person
it
wrote,
doesn't.
quoted Biden saying, I'm convinced that a criminal who wants a firearm can get one through illegal, untraceable, unregistered sources with or without gun control. Senator Joe Biden, 1985.
Flip-flop.
He also said, during my 12 and a half years as a member of this body, I have never believed that additional gun control or federal registration of guns would reduce crime. One person wrote, I'm keeping mine, Brandon. But let's go live. Go back if we can, Shawn. Let's look at what's going on. I want to get your thoughts still on this January 6th hearing. I don't think you talked about it briefly, but do you think this is still hot air?
Yeah.
And tell us why.
So this January 6th thing?
From these hearings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is just all a ploy to get people to vote blue. And they know that they're already falling in the polls. So what they want to do is make this whole circus so that they can get people thinking back to January 6th and evil white men, evil conservatives. They want to get us back in our emotions now that the abortion Hail Mary has failed and all these other Hail Marys have failed. So now they want to go out here and go back after this. And again, this is not affecting every average American. What affected the average American was the state of the economy, the fact that most Americans cannot make ends meet. And they're trying to make it like, oh, here we go again with this again. So that you can say, oh, these evil guys, these evil Trump supporters, but his policies are worse than anything that anybody could say about Donald Trump.
Clarity on the issues at stake. Chuck Rosenberg is a former U.S. attorney and senior FBI official.
I mean, I'm surprised they're doing this hearing late at night.
Chuck, first, we know at the top of this is not a criminal proceeding. It's not even action against a president. So let me ask you here, what legal bar is there? What's being watched right now at the Justice Department as they consider whether charges could emanate from this?
Well, you're exactly right, Lester. It's not a criminal proceeding. It's not really even a legal proceeding. There are no rules of evidence. There are no rules of procedure, at least ones that I'm familiar with as a prosecutor. There's no judge. There's no cross-examination. Are Justice Department officials watching this? Of course they are. It's important to us as Americans, but it's also important to them as folks who may bring additional charges against additional people. All that said, this is a big, complex, sprawling, multifaceted story. There are parts of it that we heard today that are just like we would hear in court. Congresswoman Cheney's opening statement, for instance, in which she told the jury, in this case the audience, what they will hear, what they should expect to hear over the coming several weeks of hearings. There are also parts of this story that we heard today that are incredibly compelling and emotional, but not necessarily probative of the central questions, at least central to my mind, which is, for instance, did President Trump knowingly and intentionally engage in a plot, lead a plot, direct a plot to impede the Congress and to overturn the electoral vote? So as a prosecutor, I have one reaction. As an American, quite another. They're not exactly on parallel tracks, but it is a very complex, multifaceted story. And if Congresswoman Cheney and the committee deliver what she promised to deliver, I think it'll be compelling watching.
All right, now you missed, then there is politics. Republicans, we heard some of the reaction, calling this a political witch hunt. Can it be two things? Can it be a political use for Democrats, but also be very true?
It can be, Lester, and I've been talking to a number of people while they were watching this, Republicans and Democrats. And I should tell you, here are the words that are coming up from the people I'm speaking with. They're talking about this being riveting, being compelling, being stomach churning. I also talked to an aide to former President Trump who was involved in making the case that the 2020 election was stolen. He was even traveling to different states and was part of the legal team that was trying to convince voters and local officials to try to overturn the election. He told me that tonight, these videos, this testimony, these witnesses, that they make former President Trump look, quote, extremely culpable. And he said if anybody believes that the 2020 election was rigged after watching this, that they're chasing what he called a fool's dream. Of course, there's politics in this. We know that there are some Republicans who were already preempting, calling this a witch hunt, and really trying to make sure that they really try to focus the attention of the Republican base and Republican voters away from this hearing. But what you saw, of course, was that compelling video from people inside former President Trump's inner circle, his daughter, the Attorney General. And also, I'm very interested in the fact that there was Jason Miller, a very close aide, talking about the fact that former President Trump's data person told him he was going to lose the election months before he actually lost it. So in this regard, I'm really hearing from people saying that this was a powerful opening statement. I should also say that someone told me, an ethics lawyer said, it was very important for Liz Cheney.
And also with us, what can we expect in the days ahead? This is
I've had
hearing
enough
number
of
one.
this.
How will this all play?
I'm not even watching it, so I cut it off. But y'all don't talk. We still talking about this over a year ago. I know people say they want to know what happened. We saw it with our own eyes. What happened? We talked about it the day it happened. We had an officer that actually, one of the people, these fools who actually went in, broke into the congressional halls of Congress while they were counting the ballots, going into the offices and so forth. One person, several people were killed. One woman, Ashley Babbitt, she was shot by a cop, but I mean, they broke the law. So we knew what happened. Donald Trump wasn't impeached for it because he was about to leave, even though they had impeachment proceedings before. I think he's the only president in history to be impeached twice, but he was never removed from office. So it's a big nothing burger. Anyway, Shawn, you had any last thing on that?
Not much to say except this is just one big waste of time. Again, it's just meant to get people emotional and riled up so that they'll vote blue in November. And it's just one big farce. I mean, if they were to go after these people, again, it just does nothing for anyone. In fact, it just is, these hearings are just basically a blue check marks, ego station. That's all it is. It's not going to lead to anything constructive. And it's just another, again, Hail Mary from the guys who are blue to try to get you to go out here and vote blue in 2022.
Y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Shawn, I do want to talk about this. I'm curious, have you been following, I know you don't follow stuff like this, but this thing with Monique versus DL Hughley that has been going, I mean, and I'm a little late, but not so much late, because Monique and DL, particularly Monique, had been going back and forth. If you remember, she was claiming she was supposed to headline a show that she was doing with DL, and so reportedly DL threw a tantrum about it and got the chance to headline. She was upset, cursed him out, dogged him out on the stage out in the Fox Theater at Detroit. She did 40 minutes, and I believe he did 45 minutes. And that's basically what a headliner does. They get to do more time. I don't believe the money was affected. And Monique was dropping pictures of the contract and so forth while DL had his deal memorandum. And he basically said that she was playing the character. She wasn't just playing the character of Precious Mom. She is her. So, you got a vacuum on or something?
No.
Okay. I'm hearing a noise. So anyway, as most people may know, that's already happened. Monique went on continuously with her husband, Sidney, talking about DL and other things. And one of the things they did was they played a clip that DL actually had when he was on Sway in the Morning, talking about trauma, talking about Bill Cosby, first off, trying to say how Bill Cosby was guilty. And one of the things he mentioned, he brought this up, which was And this is not Monique that brought this up. DL, in fairness, DL Hughley, he did air this out first. And I want you to just hear it. It's edited, but this is what happened. You can't hear it yet because I haven't played it. I know you were looking to hear it, but.
All right.
All right.
This is not going
to air. I said the fucking ain't.
Right.
Right.
I
thought it would. 10 minutes later, 5 to 10 minutes later,
took that
people
tape.
from Kiss FM
Said if it airs, your network
down,
radio.
took that tape.
Everybody.
Said if it airs, your network radio.
And it did
not
air. I'm telling that's true shit. I swear that on my
I'm telling that's true.
So I know he's powerful enough to make that.
So now you don't think he? So you're telling the story now?
I told it then. I told it on time. No, this is not. No, this is.
You told the story.
Oh yeah, I swear to God.
Oh yeah, I swear to God.
People only hear what they want.
People only hear what they want.
Yeah.
Like
I have known this for a long time and said it a long time. I remember I was on Tom Jones show. He gave me my radio show. I was on his show, and I told him, don't talk about Mr. Cosby. They have this idea like you can be like I said, you can be profane. He's a humorist. He's a lot of. He's a humorist. He's benevolent. He's a humorist. He's a humanitarian. He's a rapist. That's the way that is. You can be all that. I live next door to a dude, man. He took me to the free clinic. He told me about life, and he also was raping his daughter. And went to jail. To me, he's always going to be the dude who did. Everybody do it. How come when people do stuff like always above reproach? Nobody ever believes him, and then it's always a lot of it. And the reason it hits home to me is because my youngest daughter said something happened to her, and because of somebody I like, I'll never get that back. She'll never. I'll never get that back. I'm supposed to protect her. I'll never get that back. She told her father something because of inconvenience. So I can see how that could play. I can see how that. And there's so many bro. And there's so many bro. Everybody wondering why women are mad and why people are like that. This shit they go through. When she said on Color Purple, a girl child ain't safe in the family. That's fucking true. And it's just that he is. Categorically, everybody ever see is like priests who are above reproach, coaches who are above reproach. Nobody, somebody's boyfriend. Somebody's boyfriend. And he played on it. And to this day, he played on it. And he's not gonna air. I said the fucking ain't. This is not gonna air. I said the fucking ain't. Right
now, he's trying to. So you hear that he's accusing Bill Cosby of rape. Call him a rapist. Let's be real about this. And Dale Hughley is actually on Facebook and follows me on, we're Facebook friends or so forth, whatever the fuck. And yeah, I like stuff he's done, and he may listen to this. Sometimes I've seen some of him share my clips and so forth. I've seen him share some articles I have. He may listen to this or not. He's probably not even bothered with it, but that's a fucking weasel thing to do. For me, to call a man a rapist without any evidence, without any proof. And if you did it on a talk show, your radio program, I'm pretty sure, and you said something slanderous about me, I would complain about having that shit removed too. Because he took exception to you saying the word nigga. How we falsely throw stuff at somebody because we can't take constructive criticism. And DL, he's a cat that's been doing stand-up comedy for a long time, but this is a man who's supposedly pro-black. He talked black, this, black, that. And you should know better, above all people, how easy it is for a black man to be set up there. But I've noticed that he's not alone. Now, to stay on topic, I do not like, now Monique and a couple others put this up. Now, in fairness, D.L. Hughley is the one who brought this stuff up with his daughter, not Monique, although Monique brought it back up, which I have a problem with, and I'll explain in a little bit, because it went in about your contract. You went in and talked about your contract, but also about how DL has been dissing you low-key for years, talking about black women for years, but you still did a show with him. So at first I was defending her with her showing, yeah, getting your money and so forth, but now it escalated into something that became personal. Then I see my queen, shout out to Queen Nicole's View, because she said, just as I thought, DL was projecting on Mr. Bill Cosby because he didn't do anything about his own daughter being harmed. This is why he runs around calling Mr. Cosby a rapist and the late Michael Jackson a pedophile. Even though there are tons of evidence out there that proves that these two black icons were indeed set up and lied on. However, I certainly believe his daughter was a victim. A lot of them know who the real devils are in Hollywood, but they hide behind the Jacksons and Cosbys in order to protect the real predators. Notice he never once said the name of the man who hurt his daughter, but has no issues calling Mr. Cosby a rapist. He's sitting there conflating his beefs with Mr. Cosby instead of the facts, and that's this guilt of not going after the man who hurt his daughter. Thank you, Monique, for calling these clowns out. You always have my support. Of course, some people do not support Monique in what she says. Did his daughter say you can speak on behalf of her? You're out of pocket. Leave these people alone. Now you're reaching. I'm so confused. How does this have anything to do with your headliner issue? She was posting other videos. This one video of DL. I remember this when this happened. When the Don Imus thing was going on.
No. But it was
Don Imus called the women of Rutgers nappy-headed hoes. I remember that.
And then let's face it, he called them hoes and nappy-headed hoes, and they weren't hoes. But it was nappy-headed women on that team.
Shut up! I'm gonna say it.
I don't give a damn y'all like it or not. You know it's true. Them some of the ugliest women I've seen in my whole life.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, I remember when that happened. There were actually people, I remember protesting DL when he made that joke on the Tonight Show. And there were people that were actually protesting his shows back in 06, 07 when that happened. But DL had to respond. I like to play both sides. He responded to what Monique had to say, or what she posted. And shout out to, I don't know if he's going to give me a copyright strike if I play directly from this, but O'Shea Duke Jackson, he's went at Monique, posted this about Monique because he thought she was wrong. I think a lot of his followers even think she was wrong for doing it. But this was DL's response, okay?
I know that I said that I had done all I could here about this whole Monique situation over the weekend. Her and her husband released a video where I was doing the interview and I detailed my daughter's sexual trauma. Monique has taken that video and perverted it for her own use. She's decided to add her own narrative. I will only say this, and I'm answering this now in response to a request from my daughter, who of course, over the weekend was crying. Of course, having her trauma, tried it out in front of the world. In a situation she had nothing to do with, that doesn't have anything to do with the contract, would be traumatizing to anybody, particularly when it's from somebody who claims to love us for real. But she proceeded to talk about how I let a man touch my child, which nothing could be further from the truth. They were both 13 years old. They were friends that had grown up together. She told me about it years later, and when she told me about it, I and this is something I lament to this day, denied that I said, well, that's what kids do. Now that was my estimation of it. It was not her interpretation of it. She was hurt by that, and I will never forgive myself for not believing her and B, handling it the way I did. But for Monique, A, to put a man in that room, which never happened, and B, to bring up sexual trauma in an argument that has nothing to do with what you're talking about is unconscionable. My daughter Tyler addressed it, my daughter Ryan addressed it with her in the letter. And the thing that I was most proud about in the letter is not only that she held her head high because she's supposed to. The other thing is she said there are legitimate things you could have gone after my father about, because my children know exactly who I am. They know that I'm not perfect. They know that I'm flawed. And none of them would have a problem with you assailing things that are really true. But you and your husband putting a man in my daughter's room, and that is not what I said, and you weaponize it, and using it in a trite argument shows exactly how low you are. You are a monster. You literally are. You didn't play Precious. You didn't play Precious' mother. You let her out. You stopped pretending to be human, and you won a role for being exact. You won a Grammy Oscar for being exactly who you are. Who says they love women and are there for women and protect the babies and would trot out someone's sexual trauma just to use in an argument? I don't know anything about you. I know that what happened to you when you were a child, what happened to you when you were growing up, those things are traumatic to you, and I would never bring them up. Never. It would never occur to me to do it. Because that's not where I live.
So guys, you heard?
So Shawn, what do you think of what's going on with these two? They weren't paying attention to obviously what happened initially, but basically this thing with the contract and then escalating it. If you didn't see it initially, you go online for like 10 minutes. Monique was dissing DL Hughley, and I know a lot of people. Monique, of course, as you know, has had her issues, obviously, with Netflix, with Oprah, Tyler Perry, Whoopi Goldberg, a bunch of people. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, my thoughts are that this whole situation between Monique and DL Hughley just really, it's just sad to see. I mean, here you have two grown men, a grown man and a grown woman, and they are just continuing to escalate things over something that should have been settled in private. I mean, if there's a situation with a contract, that needs to be taken care of with your agent, your manager, and the venue owner. And that is something that you do in private with each other. That is not something you take to a public forum and go into a back and forth with. What I see here is a lot of unprofessionalism from both sides. And the fact that it's starting to get personal really shows that neither party understands anything about the concept of boundaries, because you never bring family into your personal conflicts. I mean, once you start to do that, that shows that you really do not know how to have a professional discourse with an individual or a disagreement with an individual, because you're taking things personal. And when you take things personal like this, that's going too far. So when I look at the situation, it just is extremely unprofessional on both sides. And if you're an entertainer, this is not going to really help either one's reputation. I mean, this shows that both individuals do not know how to conflict resolve, do not know how to problem solve, and they don't really understand how optically this looks bad for both of them. For them to be bringing in DL Hughley's daughter, I mean, he may have brought her in, but for her to escalate it, it just optically doesn't look bad, and it makes them look both like two individuals I wouldn't want to have on my set or at my club, because they would just bring everything down to a low level with their just completely, as I see it, disgusting behavior. Just this whole situation, both parties just need to settle this in private, get rid of it, get this whole thing off the table, because it's making both of them look really bad, and they don't really understand how terrible this is going to make them both look in the long term.
What do you think Monique is more at fault for bringing that up, and what did you think of the DL Hughley making a reference to Bill Cosby?
I think that your Monique shouldn't have even discussed his children. If you have an issue with someone, you take it up with them. And your DL Hughley has just been disgusting for bringing up Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby has nothing to do with any of this. And for him to go out here and make these type of statements, which I could be considered to be slander, this is not something that makes him look good either. I mean, I am no fan of DL Hughley. I mean, he's just a very unprofessional person, and his conduct is not that of someone I would want it to be around me if I had a set, or if I was working on a project. If I was executive producer, he'd be the last person I'd call, because there's no need to go into ad hominem attacks on Bill Cosby when you're having an issue with somebody else. We'll bring up his name unless you're a no talent who has no skills and cannot get out here and build your own audience without mentioning another higher level celebrity.
Well, in fairness, that video, because I don't think you knew how old that was. That video was from 2014.
Oh.
It wasn't current, but D.L. Hughley has been on Vlad currently. He's been on other places talking, and he has talked about Bill Cosby in a negative. He says he can be like he said, he's a humanitarian, he's a humorist, but he's a rapist. I took exception to that when I saw it the first time back in 2014, and I can't fathom. Well, I can fathom because we have a bootleg problem in the United States and in our community.
And I've been saying that myself.
And the so-called black heroes that we look up to, huh?
I said we've had a bootleg problem for some time, and we have to deal with it.
Yeah, we have a coon problem. And to say, yeah, people are entitled to their opinion. I respect, yeah, as a comedian, I respect him, but it seems like anybody that's not on the Democratic plantation, anybody that's not aligned with the liberal stuff, he'll say something greasy about it. He even talked shit about Michael Jackson and had Michael's brothers on his show subsequently after that. You know, if I'm pretty sure if Tito and Marlon Jackson had known what he said, they would have turned him down. But that's the type of stuff you deal with. You know, you're calling someone a pedophile, you're calling someone a rapist without proof. I have an issue with that. Now, with me, Monique, I fought her more for this because even though I was supporting her and I support somebody going to get your money, there was no need for her to bring up D.L. Hughley's daughter into this. And if she were really that concerned about black women and fighting for her, first and foremost, if you had an issue with DL, I would have never done a show with him in the beginning. If it were really about doing a show with DL and you're going back at him, back and forth, why did you sign a contract to do a show with him in the first place? Monique has been hit. Monique has been a resident in Las Vegas for years. She actually was doing a residency at the hotel I was staying at. And she can certainly make a living doing that. I mean, look, she had issues with Will Packer. They did Almost Christmas together. She actually kicked ass in that movie. And I get not wanting to play ball to these devils. You know, I get not trying to be a Yassa boss. I get not trying to suck dick on these to these producers and so forth. I support that, but you started to go personal. Is the thing. If you really want to protect black women, you know, I would not have, even though in truthfulness, yes, D.L. Hughley was the one who brought that up, not Monique. I didn't see the need why she would bring that up in an argument and put that on you know, and rehash that. And, you know, D.L. Hughley said they were both 13 at the time, the boy that she's accusing of doing something to her. And at first he thought it was something that was just boys did. You know, I didn't understand, you know, at either rate, if that person did do something to my child, they were the same age, and he knew them, he didn't mention them by name, yeah, I still would have been pissed off. But I mean, he's saying it wasn't described to him, it wasn't an adult in a room or something like that. But at either rate, DL, you know, I think this has gone way too far.
Way too far. Just
But here's the thing: people in glass houses, that live in glass houses, shouldn't throw stones either. So when you're talking about Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson, O.J., be careful because some of the stuff can be thrown back at you. A lot of people are noticing that. But Monique was filed for that.
Yeah. Whenever you get into the personal, that's you going too far.
Right. You shouldn't be, but talking about Bill Cosby, and I spoke to Bill Cosby on the phone Saturday. He talked with me and my parents. I can't do the voice for y'all right now because I'm still recovering, but you know, he did. Well, let me try. Where are you calling from? Well, Dr. Cosby, no, he said, where is your body now, son? I said, well, I'm in New Orleans. New Orleans, you are in the South capital of the world. Pretty soon you're going to turn into Lot's wife. I said, and I took the phone outside. I ran. I said, Mom, Dad, it's Cosby. It's Cosby. It's like, Dr. Cosby, I have my parents here. Could you talk with them for a second, please? It's like, well, first and tell me, who's that? Who are they? It's like Leon and Viva Richard, Dr. Cosby. I'm a pharmacist, and my wife is a retired medical technician. We live in New Orleans. Oh, the South capital again. He said, yes, we both, my mom said, yes, Mr. Cosby, we're both HBCU graduates from Xavier. And you know what he says? Francis. As in Norman C. Francis. He knew exactly who it was, but he was intrigued and talked to my father, and he thanked me for what I did. So I was grateful. Shout out to Andrew Wyatt for making that happen, because he called me by my first name. He said, Gavin. He said, Dr. Cosby. The main thing I know Jalea wanted to know is if I did the impression in front of him. It's like, no.
Nope.
I'll wait on the next call. I'll say, Dr. Cosby, about some Jello, to help me fight this cold. I didn't do the impression. I didn't get a chance to, but who knows? He was probably he probably was listening to it when I was talking to Andrew. And I started cursing. I said, "Don't have him call me. Say, I would like to talk to you about the language." See, y'all gonna make me sick again. But y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. But yeah, man, I ain't gonna say nothing bad about Dr. Cosby. I was supposed to, yeah. And so, but yeah, but it's gotten personal. The other thing I want to talk with you about real briefly is, Shawn, what is your thoughts on this stuff with Lori Harvey? You did a video, I know, but speaking of comics, because we know Lori Harvey is the daughter, even though she's not biologically his daughter. He's raised her and adopted her. She's taking his last name. And Michael B. Jordan, they broke up over the weekend. And if you saw my timeline, there were a lot of people who were sensitive about what I had to say. Frankly, I don't give a damn. But this gives you an indication of why the dating pool sucks as it is today, because if you read the comments, I'm going to go ahead and share them. I'm not holding anything back. Why should I? Now, what do you think when you see stuff like this? Why don't you look right here? I know I haven't put it yet, but you have a brother. So basically, she didn't want to be a wife to a man with money, no record, and all of his teaching said if she wasn't satisfied with him, no man apparently would be enough. That's what I wrote. I don't think anything I said was wrong. Now, we don't know the details of the who and what, but we know this much: they're not together. Allegedly, I heard she's with Jack Harlow, your boy, who's the rapper from Atlanta, white boy. He did that's is it Jack Harlow? Yeah, Jack Harlow. did a Lil Nas X video. And you look at a Michael B. Jordan. Now, Michael B. Jordan, of course, remember he was getting criticized a lot in the media at one point because all he dated was white women, white and Hispanic women. And Michael B. Jordan, 35 years old, he's around my age. He's got money, he's successful. He's one of the most well-desired men in Hollywood. And, you know, Lori Harvey, who is beautiful herself, and she's young, she's 25. Already she's dated Future. She's dated Diddy's son. She's dated Diddy. Most of the people, guys, she's dated Michael Jordan and alleged to date Jack Harlow. But he wanted to apparently get married, and she wasn't ready for that. And I had people saying, well, there was nothing wrong with her for not being, she's too young to marry. I don't understand why you're disparaging remarks about someone who was practically a child, whatever. This is what one person said. And some people say, when I read and saw the reason, I said that can't be true. I prefer to believe it's a lie, because if it's true, our community is real trouble. But some people say, well, she wasn't ready for marriage. What's the problem? You know, she don't like him. Move on. She's enjoying her freedom. One person wrote, you're very intelligent. I'm not sure how this is your thought. And I said, well, maybe because I could care less what you or anyone else thinks about my opinion. Otherwise, I waste my time. Now, that's intelligence. And that is, right? So,
yeah.
But do you see? So you did a video on this, though, Shawn, about her breaking up. And yes, she is young. But do you see the point that a lot of brothers were making? Let's say, and I know you're not a fan of the Black Manosphere, but this would fall under an O'Shea Duke Jackson. And I'm sure a Kevin Samuels video, if he were alive today, he would be talking. This would be fodder for him. Even I think Jason Black on his business channel would be talking about something like this. But do you see the point of what our brothers are making?
I see the point that's being made as related to your Lori Harvey. And I believe she blew the biggest opportunity of her life, because at 25 years old, this is the time when a woman is supposed to be looking to get serious. This is the time she's supposed to be getting ready to get married. And you have this one talking about how she wants to go out here and live her life and have a good time. And these are feminist talking points. This is the feminist who sit there and talks about how you have all the time in the world when you're running out of time to find a quality husband. Because after you get turned about 27, that's when from my research on the woman crisis, the pool of men starts to shrink. And by the time you're about 30, that's when you're not even in a place to be fertile to be able to have children. So your Lori Harvey has basically fumbled the football as related to building a life, and she's heading down from the road of being a woman who would be married and have a family to taking a trip down to bust downtown. And she's on the road to bust downtown thinking that she can go out here and, like I put in my book, The Woman Crisis, score herself a better deal with a higher value man, not understanding that this was as good as it was going to get for her. And this white guy, he's basically going to have a fling with her, toss her to the side, and then move on and start looking for some white woman to build his wealth with after he had his taste of the chocolate. And your Lori Harvey basically has dropped the ball in this situation. She has missed out on her chance to get a husband, but your Michael B. Jordan should be counting his blessings and thanking God, because he dodged a bullet with this woman. Because this Lori Harvey, it doesn't seem like she has her head in the game as related to going out here and understanding that you need to find a husband sooner rather than later. And she's the type that you cannot build with, because she's got one foot in the world with the white feminist. She's thinking she can live her best life. She's thinking she can have the hot girl summers. And now he's dodging a bullet, because this type of woman, she has one eye on the world, and she's tempted by the world, and she will take everything from you and have you on a road to hell, because this type of female, all she keeps doing is looking out at the world, looking back at the world, looking for some sort of option for a better deal, and she'll make you miserable in her company because she's the type that would file for divorce on you and then look to take your money and go live her best life with somebody else, telling you how she's not happy. And your Michael B. Jordan is dodging a bullet here, because this woman, if she wants to have fun, let her have fun, and then leave her to head on that road to bust downtown, where she'll be 50% off in about 5 to 10 years.
I mean, yeah, Stephanie wrote Michael B. Jordan is basically a way better catch. Oh, you kidding me? Future had about 5-10 baby mamas. That's Lori Harvey should get a Nobel Peace Prize because she's the only woman to lay down with Future and not get pregnant.
Sounds like she was on the Pookie train early on.
Well, if he lucked up and had a condom on or something, if she was lucky about that, or she was on the pill, I don't know what personal stuff, but she's not going back to him. But yeah, she's been dating around. I mean, she dated Diddy and Diddy's son.
Wow, she got a body count.
That's the thing that got me. Whoa, I didn't know about the thing. I knew about Diddy, but I didn't know she was with Diddy's son before that. And yeah, they treating her. Oh, she's young. She's not a child. She's 25.
It's a woman.
That's a woman, right? A young woman, indeed. And Michael B. Jordan is a young man too, just like I am. But we make excuses for ratchet behavior. We make excuses for these women to act any freaking way that they want, and think that. Well, I mean, yeah, she's free to date whoever she wants. Don't get me wrong; that's not the point of this. But my thing, just having a conversation about relationships and men, is that what type of man do you want? Because if you're saying you want someone with 6 figures who can take care of you, do all of this, and then you say it's not good enough because he wants to settle down. I thought marriage was the highest form of a relationship. I thought that's what you ladies wanted.
Oh, when she saw that white man, that threw everything out the window.
Like, that's weird to me. And women that are defending that, well, it happens. It happens. Well, that's the high. What else do you do? Wouldn't you date someone? Yeah, you can choose to just have fun, but make it clear from the beginning. Look, I'm not looking for something serious. Otherwise, as you know, Shawn, with dating someone, if you spend years with them, you waste your time, you waste your money, and that's something you can't get back.
Nope.
Yeah, but Michael B. Jordan is a good brother. I actually met him. I met him in Baton Rouge, actually, a couple of years ago. They were filming the movie. I think they're working on Fantastic Four. Not that I would brag about that, but they were shooting it up in Baton Rouge, and I got a chance to meet him. He was actually, I guess he had rented out one of the lofts that was around the movie theater. He was walking along with his bodyguard or his assistant, and he shook my hand, and we talked. So he was real down to earth. Now, I don't know how people are in their private life, but first impressions, or they say, are lasting impressions, and I was very impressed with Michael B. Jordan. So I don't know what he did, or what she did, I should say, or what happened, but I'm gone off. They just, from what they said, he wanted to take the next step and she didn't want to do it. So he dodged the bullet.
Yeah, he really dodged the bullet there, because he could have been stuck with her in child support for the next 20 plus years. And that's something you don't want to be in.
Yeah. Look, hold on. Can I, we're going to take a quick break. Can we do that right quick? Give me about 3-4 minutes. I have to do something right quick. All right. We'll be back, guys.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, because on the dance floor is where we'll meet. Show me what you got.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do, cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body, cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do, cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body, cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up
and move your body, cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Baby, yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up. Baby,
feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Okay, I'm back. Excuse me. Sorry, everyone. Still recovering. Okay. I'm back. All right. So hit that like, share, and subscribe button. My cousin Dwayne out in Lafayette, Louisiana, says that, damn, I finally agree with Shawn. Says she acts like she can't have fun with one man. What is fun? He also said, fuck Monique better ass. I guess he was talking about what happened with Monique and DL. She said, but kids exploit each other playing house. We used to call it 8 years old. Call it that at 8 years old. Where kids would touch each other. He said they were the same age. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that happened too. But she didn't interpret it that way. He brushed it off is what he was getting at. But then Monique, yeah, I saw Monique said she'd be willing to meet with him, and like, because the daughter said, if you want to ever talk, I'll give you my address. And Monique said, oh, we can set up a time to talk. And DL's like, so if you didn't hear all the video, he's like, no, we're not going to do that. You'll never talk to my family. Well, I mean, she's a grown adult. If she wants to talk with us, she could. But yeah, I thought that was sucker shit too. So it's all sucker shit. Let's go into our final topic. This was some breaking news I wanted to discuss right quick, Shawn. And this happened here, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. I should have started off with it, but I didn't. Christopher Schur has been charged with second-degree murder in the death of Patrick Leoa. Now, if you remember a couple of months ago, there was this infamous video that was going around showing police officer Christopher Schur trying to arrest Mr. Leoa over a traffic stop that occurred out in Michigan. I believe this was from April 4th of this year. So officials in Kent County, Michigan announced on Thursday that a second-degree murder charge has been filed against the officer who fatally shot the 26-year-old Patrick Leoa on April 4th. Video of the encounter in which an officer shot Leoa in the head after a struggle during a traffic stop sparked outrage and calls for the officer to be charged. Of course, you remember Patrick Leoa and his family. They're from Africa. I don't want to say Africa because that's a continent. They actually have a country. I believe their country is in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. Someone wants to correct me, please do so. But they're from the Congo, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They actually left in 2014. Okay, so this was the video. I won't play the video, but this is the video I will play that is courtesy of CBS in that story. Please, someone give me the copyright disclaimer so we can play this 2-minute clip.
Another deadly police shooting of an unarmed black man has led to protests and calls for accountability. 26-year-old Patrick Leoa was killed after a traffic stop escalated in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And CBS's Adriana Diaz is there.
In Grand Rapids, there is frustration and anger over how a routine traffic stop escalated into a deadly police shooting, claiming the life of 26-year-old Patrick Leoa. Today, attorney Ben Crump, flanked by Leoa's parents and a Congolese interpreter, called for accountability.
As his mother and father said, they believe their son was executed.
On Wednesday, police released several videos showing the entire confrontation. The officer first approaching the car.
No, stop. Put your hands up.
Leoa resists and runs. For 2 minutes. There's a struggle. The officer fires his taser twice. But misses. The officer's body camera goes off. It's unclear why. But other videos show that while on top of Leoa, the officer takes out his gun and fires one shot to the head. The Lioya family fled from the Democratic Republic of Congo for safety
The
for
one
life
who's supposed
here.
to be protecting Patrick's life is the one who has killed Patrick and take Patrick away.
Grand Rapids police say they will not identify the officer unless he's named as a suspect. City leaders are calling for calm until the Michigan State Police finish their investigation.
Transparency. We will seek truth. Justice requires that this matter be handled fairly and efficiently.
The officer who is a seven-year police veteran is on paid leave during the investigation. In Michigan, officers can use deadly force if they fear death or bodily injury. Major, the police chief here says they released all the videos to be transparent with the public.
Adriana Diaz, we thank you.
Something you can't have.
So what that means with second-degree murder out in Kent County, apparently you face life in prison.
Now to Grand Rapids, Michigan, where a white police officer was charged today with second.
Okay, I didn't know they was wondering when they were going to play this video. All right, well, we'll play that, but I was just going to make my point that if convicted, he can face life in prison. However, it's life in prison with the possibility of parole. So,
Degree murder after shooting a young black man during a traffic stop that escalated into chaos. The shooting in April ignited protests and calls for justice. CBS's Drika Duncan has been following the case.
In a much-anticipated decision, Kent County prosecutor Christopher Becker explained why he is charging Grand Rapids police officer Christopher Scher with a felony.
First, there was a death done by the defendant, and the death was not justified or excused, for example, by self-defense.
The shooting happened in early April after Scher pulled over 26-year-old Patrick Lioya, a Congolese immigrant driving a car that police say did not match the license plate.
I'm stopping you. You have a license? You have a license.
Police body cam footage, surveillance, and cell phone video captured the entire incident.
No. Stop.
The officer approaches the car, but Lioya resists.
Stop.
Then runs. There's a 2-minute struggle during which the officer twice tries to use his taser, but misses.
Let go of the taser.
Officer Scher's body camera turns off. It's not clear why. But other video shows the officer taking out his gun and shooting Lioya once in the back of his head.
Get back!
Reaction today was swift. Demonstrators praised the decision to prosecute Scher. Speaking in Swahili, Lioya's father said today's announcement was only a first step toward justice for his son.
It can be long, it can be short, but what I want just is the final justice for my son.
Officer Scher is now in police custody. He's expected to be arraigned tomorrow. As for that second-degree murder charge, nor if he's convicted, he faces anywhere from 25 years to life behind bars.
Drika Duncan, thank you.
Good evening.
Shawn, your thoughts?
Well, I'm really glad that this officer was indicted for, as I see it, the murder of this man, because he escalated this incident and took it too far. I mean, he went out here and pulled out his firearm, and you only pull out your firearm usually if somebody has a weapon. This was not a case where he needed to pull his firearm. So I say, yes, he definitely needed to be indicted. And I'm hoping that as the case goes on, he does wind up getting convicted. And it's showing that if we go out here and continue to push, we can get justice in these cases and punish these rogue police officers and these race soldiers and let them know that they cannot go out here and just take a black life arbitrarily. So when I look at this case, this is a good outcome as related to it, because what happened in that case with that young man, he didn't need to lose his life over a minor traffic stop, and the whole situation did not have to be escalated to the point that it got. If this guy was fleeing, he did have a license plate he could go. He had another suspect in the vehicle. This case could have easily been wrapped up by detectives But this officer he went too far, and he needs to be punished for using excessive force.
He needs to be punished for murder.
Yeah.
It's beyond excessive force, but I mean, the way I saw it, the suspect wasn't on. He tried to tase the man. The man grabbed the taser from him. I mean, if he had him on the ground, you know, and I mean, look, general rule, I always say innocent until proven guilty. I'm sure it's going to be I feared for my life because I pulled my gun out and I don't know, he was struggling, but
he escalated the situation by
he escalated it when it wasn't necessary. Didn't look like his life was in any danger at any point. You know, he could have gotten him in handcuffs. He certainly could have waited for backup to arrive.
They had the license plate. They had the other individual in the vehicle who could have told you where you lived. There was 100 ways this could have went.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll find out what happens to him. Monitoring this, but do you think this is with the Chauvin situation that there's a precedent set that now they are start prosecuting more of these cops?
I think with the Chauvin situation, we may see more of these rogue officers prosecuted, and it may set a legal precedent where some of these men or women may wind up getting convicted because they have clearly committed crimes here. I mean, there's no need to escalate a situation into something that it doesn't need to be. I mean, there's no need to pull guns when you have license plates. There's no need to pull guns unless this person is pulling out another firearm. There's no need to escalate things into car chases. If you've got the plate numbers, you can go get this individual by doing a DMV search, finding the address of this individual. And there's no need to escalate things and make them into violent situations. And there's no need to pull out a gun on a guy who's just running away. You just call for backup and then try to follow. And then eventually you may catch him, especially if you've got a license plate in your system. There's other ways of doing this and subduing these suspects non-violently.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I agree. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Before we go, I told you I was going to look at this and share this with you. This is the actual bill. A lot of people say, yeah, he just wanted to kill that man. That officer just wanted to kill a black man. Says, I won't be excited unless he actually gets a long sentence. We'll find out. I mean, what they did with Chauvin, they split the bucket on it because yes, he got time for it, but then he'll get out by the time he's 60, so he's not going to be life in prison. Some people were mad on that. They thought he should have gotten longer, but nevertheless, this is the bill that I was talking about that Congress, the House had passed, called the Protecting Our Kids Act. You all had heard. And all this is, and I said I would go over it when you read it, but it's an amendment, essentially, to provide an increase in the age limit on the purchase of certain firearms, to prevent gun trafficking, modernize the prohibition on untraceable firearms, encourage the safe storage of firearms and for other purposes. Now, like I said before, as an amendment, there are already 20,000 plus gun control laws that have been passed in Congress. They'll also have them passed in your state senators across the country. You got bunches of gun law. You got countless gun laws. But yet the problem still remains. We see mass shootings. But here's the thing about mass shootings. There's a saying I thought of. Passive tyranny is always worse than dangerous freedom. I prefer having my freedom than tyranny at any cost. And I don't know I can't answer for everybody, but I think most common sense people would agree
you would want to be told how to defend yourself and in what way. If it does, you got a problem, especially by the people who you might need the protection from. If you dig my meaning.
Yeah.
Because even in New York, where you're from, Sean, I believe you can't have a firearm.
And that's really made it hard on the
5 rounds. If I have,
That's really made it hard out here. Can't even have a firearm here. That's why these cookies and Ray Rays are just taking over.
And they don't listen to the laws of the state.
No.
Because if you think about a revolver shoots 6 shots. So my handgun, my Glock 43 holds 6 shots unless I do an extended clip. So by law, if you buy those, you're a criminal. If that's the law of New York.
Yeah, the law in New York, you can't even have a firearm without an expensive bureaucracy. I mean, you can't even get concealed carry unless you're a jeweler or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of hassle to get a firearm here legally. So most people make their own 3D printers or they buy them illegally, and they've been doing that for over 30 years, buying them illegally.
Mm-hmm. All right, you all hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Please donate to the Cash App. I'm going to leave a link to this law on here, but when you read it, it's really a nothing burger within it. All it is an amendment. It's raising the age limit of who can buy an AR-15 versus a firearm. At one point, the law was that you had to be 18 in order to buy a shotgun or rifle, but now they want to raise that up. But then it looks like you can only be 18. When you're 18 years old, you can still buy a handgun. At one point, buying handguns was illegal till you were 21. That was the whole laws. That was the whole law.
And it did nothing.
Yeah, it's done nothing.
It's empty symbolism, make people feel good. But if you know how these beta males operate, you know that this does nothing to anyone.
Yeah. Well, Sean, if you want to plug in something, go ahead and do so.
Okay, my comic John Haynes at Death's Door will be on Kickstarter on June 22nd. And if you want to join the Kickstarter mailing list for the John Haynes at Death's Door, you can sign up for the pre-launch page, which I'm going to drop a link in the chat for. So you can join up for the pre-launch page for the John Haynes at Death's Door comic. All the pages are done. All the lettering is done. And all I'm waiting for is enough pledges to pay for the printing and the shipping, and you'll be able to get a copy of a John Haynes comic book. Now, in addition to the John Haynes comic book, I have the 2022 books, which are ISIS Legacy and Eastern Horror of the Hyena Woman, and you can get both of those in paperback and Kindle format, and they are great reading for readers of all ages, so you can feel safe about sharing these books with your kids.
All right. Guys, don't forget, go to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at Commonwealth Cause, ladies and gentlemen. The book will be very available for pre-order this weekend. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr. The Destruction of Due Process in the United States. That's available on Amazon for pre-order right now. Sean, don't go anywhere before I discontinue the live stream. I want to talk with you if you had a minute in private.
All right.
But everyone go here to @Commonwealth Cause. Thank you, Danielle, for purchasing some Creole seasoning. I'll go ahead and send that off to you sometime by next week. Sometime shortly, we'll send some off to you. And next, I wanted to show you all Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. Go to Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. So Danielle's got her mind right for some Creole seasoning. You all go ahead and get y'all some Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nawny's goes great with every dish. Nice enough to put on your palate. Nawny's even goes great with a salad. So impure rhyme that I have there. I just don't like to boast, but Nawny's even goes great with roast. So go ahead and try Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. Of course, you heard Gotta Get On Up earlier. We also have Video Soul in our music. Donate to the Cash App too, guys, if you don't want to show a little love to me. The Cash App, GavinRichardEsq. The PayPal or Google Pay, you can email me. Go to the email Gavin.G1@gmail.com. As you know, my channel is not monetized, but we're cooking through. We look for sponsors as well. If you'd like to advertise, if you want to promote your business, we'll cut a promo for you. So y'all can do that. But check out Video Soul, ladies and gentlemen. And also, of course, our main theme song, Gotta Get On Up. So we'll get on and boogie out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, buy Shawn's book, Stop Simping in Cyberspace as well. And I'll see you all in the next one. I survived. So it wasn't going to be bad. So it wasn't. All right. Well, I'll see y'all in the next one. Let's go ahead and get on up, shall we?
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Cause on the dance floor is where we live.
It's not salt free, it's low salt. There you
Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so, if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. 'Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up, baby. Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up, baby. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to share my opinion on gun control. It's not even it's not even issue about firearms. It's about mental health.
Wait. First, hold up. First off, who are you? Announce yourself.
Yeah, okay. So what I was trying to say is that, a lot of like men that use firearms, they should, get psychologically evaluated, and they should really be assessed before making such
Shark
moves.
25. Who are you?
Oh, I watch, Shawn James channel, and I watch you. I'm no stranger. I read one of his books, Spinstrella. See it right?
Yeah, I see right there.
Yeah, so I want to join the stream and share my perspective, because it is a serious issue, and it's something that most men need to talk about despite feeling uncomfortable.
Okay, well, all right. I'm just seeing. I just saw you were in the chat, and I don't know how you got in the live stream, but exactly. But yeah. Well, our live has just ended.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you have to? Just be brief. What you have to say about gun control?
Oh, if the truth of the matter is, it's like, if you're gonna assume someone is guilty of having a gun, you should just walk away instead of just trying to search them, because it's not a good idea. Because personally, I've been in a situation where someone pointed a gun at me, like a couple of years back, and I had to do my best to run away, and it was the stereotypical Tyrone, and this man, this dude was an individual that I had an issue with back in high school, who threatened to kill me and stuff like that. So in that situation, I just ran, because if you can't do anything about it, then you might as well just walk away, instead of just leaving the perpetrator try to take control of yours. And another thing is that The Man in Crisis, that's another book that I read of Shawn. He's a phenomenal writer, because he's the one that brought attention. I'm not gonna lie, one time I was in the bus, and there's this cute looking chick, and and as soon as this chick tried to stomp on my feet, that's when his book came in my attention. But Shawn, if you're hearing this, just remember, this is from one brother to another. Much respect.
All right.
Yeah. I know this may seem a bit awkward, since it's
no.
Okay.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming on and talking with us, Shark 25. And where are you coming from?
Just up north.
Where you calling from?
Oh, southern part of Ontario.
Okay, you might know computer robots then.
Nah, I don't,
Yeah.
I
I appreciate it. Be safe up there in Canada with this, with these gun laws. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. And since you got Shawn's book, don't forget to pre-order my book. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Wow, that was something. All right, let me end the broadcast now before we get somebody else in here. The guy was in Toronto, Computer Robots. Good night, y'all.